5 young men, 1 broken-down car, a game they never watched, and a search that led only to deeper questions. It started as a fun night out, a college basketball game, laughter, snacks, plans, but they never came home. Days later, their car was found, abandoned in the middle of nowhere. Months later, so were some of their bodies, frozen, emaciated, miles from the car. Why didn't they just walk back to safety? Why did they go deeper into the forest? And what happened to the one who was never found? This is the haunting story of the Yuba County Five, sometimes called America's Dyatlov Pass. On the night of February 24th, 1978, 5 friends drove out from Yuba City, California. Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Ted Wire, Jack Hewitt, and Gary Mathias. They were excited. The group, aged between 24 and 32, shared a common bond: mild intellectual disabilities or psychiatric conditions. But they were high-functioning, capable, independent, and above all, deeply bonded. That night, they drove Jack's 1969 Mercury Montego to watch a basketball game at California State University, Chico. It was a routine night. They planned to return home right after. The next day, they had a basketball tournament of their own. They never made it back. No one would see them alive again. After the game, they stopped at a nearby convenience store around 10 p.m. They bought snacks, Hostess pies, milk and soda. The clerk remembered them. They seemed calm, ordinary. Then, they vanished. When the families woke up the next morning and found the boys hadn't returned, panic set in. It was unlike them, especially Ted Wire, who never missed a game. Their basketball match was the next morning. They'd trained all month. Soon, a missing persons report was filed. Two days later, a ranger found the Montego, abandoned on a narrow, remote mountain road in Plumas National Forest, 70 miles away from where they were supposed to be. The car was intact, no signs of damage or struggle. The keys were gone, but the gas tank was still half full. Inside were the snack wrappers, folded programs from the basketball game, a neatly folded map. But there were no footprints in the snow, no jackets or extra clothing despite sub-freezing temperatures. Why were they even up there? The road was dangerous, unpaved, and led nowhere meaningful, especially for 5 men in light clothes with no gear. Jack hated cold weather. He never drove into the mountains. Gary was an Army vet but schizophrenic. He required medication daily. Ted feared the cold and avoided it at all costs. And yet, they were gone. No blood, no broken glass, just an empty car in the middle of nowhere. Weeks passed. Helicopters scanned the area. Search dogs combed through brush and snow, but nothing. No clothing, no footprints, no bodies, just nothing. Family members began to lose hope. Investigators were baffled. Why would 5 men with no survival skills enter the forest at night, with no preparation, no communication, no reason? Then, as the snow began to melt in June, 4 months after they vanished, the nightmare deepened. In a Forest Service trailer 19 miles from the car, searchers made a chilling discovery: the body of Ted Wire. Ted's body was found inside a ranger trailer. He had died of starvation and hypothermia, wrapped in 8 layers of blankets. His beard was long. He'd been alive for up to 13 weeks after the disappearance. But here's the mystery. Inside the trailer were canned rations, enough food to survive months, a propane tank for heating, still unused. Why didn't Ted use them? His feet were badly frostbitten. Some were missing toes. There were no signs that he tried to break into the food locker. The trailer had broken windows, but no evidence of forced entry into storage. And he wasn't alone. Outside, investigators found more remains. The bones of Jack Hewitt were discovered 2 miles away, scattered by animals. Near the road to the trailer, remains of Bill Sterling and Jack Madruga were found. They had likely died of exposure, trying to walk through the freezing wilderness. But Gary Mathias, he was never found. His shoes were in the trailer, his backpack was never recovered, and his body has never been located. Gary Mathias had schizophrenia, but he was high-functioning. He had served in the Army. He worked with his stepfather. He took medication, and he was doing well, until that night. When the others were found, Gary wasn't. His shoes were in the trailer, but no body, no trace. Some believe Gary lived in the trailer with Ted for weeks, then vanished. Did he walk out and die elsewhere, or escape something far worse? Gary Mathias wasn't just a name on the list. He was the most enigmatic figure of the 5. In his youth, he was bright, popular, even served in the U.S. Army stationed in Germany. But in his early 20s, things changed. He was diagnosed with schizophrenia after several episodes during service. He was discharged and returned home to Yuba County, but he fought to recover, took medication, reconnected with friends. He loved basketball, like the others. Despite his condition, Gary was functional and social. His stepfather said he was doing better than ever. Many believe Gary survived longer than the rest. He may have helped care for Ted in the trailer. But then what? Some say he wandered off and succumbed to the elements. Others suggest he left the mountain entirely. A few even think Gary planned an escape or fled a threat no one else saw. His case remains wide open. He was never found, not even a trace. The case still haunts families, police, and internet sleuths alike. Why abandon a working car? Why walk into the cold, unprepared? Why stay in a trailer stocked with food but never eat it? Did someone lure them there? Was Gary hiding from something? Or someone? The forest holds its secrets, and the snow that year covered them all. To this day, the case remains unsolved, and the name Gary Mathias remains etched into mystery. If these unsolved disappearances grip you, subscribe and stay with us, because some stories aren't just cold cases, they're unspeakable. 5 men drove out, 4 were found dead, 1 is still missing. So, did you see any clues?